part of the facility registry, which is a registry of all the health facilities within Rwanda. And then also building part of the interoperability layer, which allows point of care systems to actually access the or query into the facility registry via some standardized API. So it basically sits as an abstraction layer between the point of care systems and the facility registry to manage communications between them. So some of the technologies that we were planning to use was then Resource Map as a facility registry. That's a software program that its team, or InSTEDD, have been developing. And he'll talk a little bit on that a bit later. And then also to develop the interoperability layer, which was planned to be a custom app developed by Jembi based on some technologies like Mule, ESP, and perhaps MERP as well. So basically, by the end of the project, the deadline was last year, December, and we managed to, in a few quick months, get together some basic results. So we had the resource map loaded with some of the facility data of Rwanda, with an XML API attached to it to be able to query some of that data. And then Ed will showcase that a little bit in the coming slides. And then also we managed to put down a base instance of the interoperability layer as well, which was customized, it turned out to be a customized Mule application. Mule's Enterprise Service Bus, a free and open source Enterprise Service Bus. And so we got the base design fully implemented, and the transaction channels for communicating with the facility registry implemented as well. So in that rather short amount of time, we've got a pretty good, tangible solution that just showed what some of the power of the architecture could provide.
Thank you, Ryan. So I just wanted to explain a little bit why there was some advantages to work in the facility registry project first as a part of this intent to deliver something of value, tangible, that is part of the re-architecture at large. It's not throwaway effort, but that shows the benefits of the project at a larger scale. So the facility registry to be implemented and approved doesn't need to change clinical processes. So we were working with Randy and the team that manages the HMIS with existing data and existing processes, which made it really easy to show the value of having web services and API that integrate with other systems to manage this data. Part of the advantages was that we had an existing product used by other ministries of health, HI, and other large entities in their implementations to manage this sort of geographical data sets. And that's open source, that's being sustained and maintained in other countries as well. So it was appropriate technology for Rwanda. And we embarked around October in the process of iterative development, first clarifying who the stakeholders with the right needs were, who were the real users that we could get happy. And working with Randy and Liz and the rest of the team, we're able to do a first migration of the data onto an online cloud-based tool, start tweaking that tool to provide for the use cases of managing that data that the HMS team here has. The team right now have been using Access, and as you know, Microsoft Access is a very user-empowering tool. You can pretty much do anything with it. And that sets a high bar, but what we're trying to do with Randy and the team is really provide a service that allows them to simplify their workflows around managing this data, provide one source of truth for that information, and allow that information to be used by other processes and teams inside the Ministry of Health by helping other systems be kept up to date with the latest information, and also hopefully help this data get onto the NIH websites and other places where it can be used. And all of this extra work to maintain all this pools of information that will disappear, and this shows like one of the first value points of having this service-oriented architecture as part of the RHEA project. As part of our slide movement, the benefits ended up being very small down there, but they're conceptually large. So first of all, we're going to have one source of truth for these facilities, and the version of that data can be managed in the long term. Also, there will be lower costs as an existing open source tool, and as other implementations and users outside Rwanda participate in both evolving and implementing it. There's implicit cost savings to Rwanda in that effort. And I think one of the highlights of our timeline as we move forward is really we're changing the UI, really looking at what Rwandan team needs. We have more needs than our other Ministry of Health and China and these other customers in terms of how to manage the structured data. And we're using a bi-weekly process in which we iterate the design. And we're hoping to have conceptual first phase implementation done by May. So if you have any questions, or if you want to just see the tool later, just took a quick screenshot here, sorry for the cropping. And we can explain better what it does and how people in other countries that have had this tool for a while have been using it in the world. Thank you.
Thanks. So basically, this slide reiterates a little bit of what Ed has been saying. What we're doing from the deliverable in December up until now has been working very closely with Randy to try and get something that's actually very usable and fits their needs exactly. And in this, we're building a new UI framework into Resource Map for some of the better data entry and storing also the structured data that we require. Also building some new APIs into it and that. And then with the interoperability layer side of things, we've been working very much on the design of it. It's gone through a slight redesign, which I'll probably talk about a bit later in the week. But that design has now been fully implemented. We've also now implemented all the transaction channels for each of the API methods within the interoperability layer. So there's a full API specification for each of the components, including not only facility registry, but also client registry, provider registry, shared health record, and the like. So that has been fully implemented now, and we've also been working on enhancing the security of the interoperability layer. So it's now fully secured via HTTPS and basic OAuth. So that communication is fully secure between these point of service systems. So that's a base overview of some of the work done and continuing from the LHF project, and that's where we've come so far. Thank you. If there are any questions, now probably a good time.
I'm particularly interested in the process that you've used to identify individuals at the particular sites, as to who's authorized to update the information to keep it up to date, and whether or not they are participating in your interface design work, and in particular some of the classification of the structured data that you might be doing.
Hi, Randy's here, so he can give you the authoritative answer.
Yeah, I can't speak for all of them at the NOH, but definitely this has been a team effort from the start. As you see, this is focusing more on the use of the facility registry for aggregate data in some of the systems that we have, like the HMIS. There's a performance-based financing database, but it's also quite beneficial to the point of service applications such as OpenMRS and Rapid SMS. Some of those connections, I'm not sure exactly how far along they are in terms of implementation, but of course, just taking OpenMRS as an example, Typically, one site would only have to know its own identification number, whereas with the aggregate data systems, they really need to maintain the entire list of health facilities in the country. So that's been a key group of applications and users that the Jembi team have been working with. I think in terms of the process, it's largely been through conference calls, and we've done quite a bit with some of the web sharing platforms so that we can actually share an application at the same time. I'm sure you can give us some more information on that, about those tools.
And I wanted to clarify, here in Rwanda, this is not being used as much in the facilities as it will be used more centrally. In Cambodia, for example, where China Ministry of Health uses it at the facilities, there's this whole ISD process with interaction design where you do lightweight ethnography, and our team has spent their time with people who learn how to use the system. You can query the SMS, so down the line, if Rwanda wants to allow either smartphone, tablet access, or low-cost phone access to information for queries and updates, there's a bunch of design work that has happened around that, which is, I think, closer to the process you have in mind.
Well, you mentioned initially the scope of the project was not just what are the facilities and where are they located, but what services are offered there. And that we have much more volatile information that needs to be maintained with someone on the ground that understands that in the broad context. So that's mostly the area that I'm interested in.
Yeah, but in other implementations, for example, they update the number of boxes of paracetamol on the shelves like every so many days. So when Rwanda wants to start using the tools for these more operational and ongoing data sets, the tools are there ready for them. And this is part of, I think, of another benefit of the service-oriented and interoperability approach, right? You have other use cases and users informing scenarios that then will be ready for Rwanda when Rwanda wants
it. Just a quick comment. There's actually a lot more than just where the facilities are located, and there's quite a lot more information on which kind of infrastructure they have, what's the catchment area, and quite a lot of information. So there are respective departments within the ministry that are responsible for updating those kind of information. So for example, the HMIS is the one which is responsible for making sure that the facility code is correct, making sure that if a new facility is built, is added. So, but of course there will be other information that other departments could fulfill. Maybe if, I don't know if you have a chance to click on one of the facilities and see the whole list of information that will be available. So it won't be just one person doing it, because the source of information will be various from different departments in the ministry.
Questions. One, the target audience, and particularly community health workers.